The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago, for we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of The Raven, guamming at you live from the Standard Coffee Shop / NDS Studios, which is very official, by the way, guys. We are now working on the rest of the library for those of you folks who drop by sometimes to say hi, which is very nice. Actually, we had another guy drop in this morning, and we were hanging and talking before the show started. You're going to see something totally different here. I'm aiming, I think, for the next week is going to be paint and wallpaper and all the crap that comes with it. But that's where it is, NDS Studios and the Standard Coffee Shop. Guys, before we get into all the stuff today, Joe Rogan has a hankering for AI Jesus. We have the Telepathy tape Psyop, obviously, by the name of the show, as well as holiday stories from my family. I went and spent some time with my family. I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. I hope everything was lovely. I know it was for me, and I caught up with some old family, and they shared some supernatural stories. That generational iniquity really goes hard. Before we get into that, guys, a little bit of business up front. If you want to support the show, there's a couple of ways to do it. Patreon.com// what the hell ever. Nephilim Death Squad is a great way. You can go over there and gain early access to episodes. You can see here. By the way, guys, can I get just a little W's in the chat for the thumbnail that I made that thumbnail. I'm basically a graphic artist now. So you can go there and gain access to episodes before they are released to the general public. We no longer do our half an hour previews. Instead, we're going to be going live exclusively to Patreon, and then later on, outside of a couple of things like the Bible studies that we do and things like that. But all of that is over there, plus early access to tickets to Bohemian Grove when that drops. And, you guys know the story with the venue. Which we kind of have a new venue, but I don't know if we're going to end up doing it because it puts us about 45 minutes away from the coffee shop, which just is not great. A lot of you guys come from all over the country. Some folks come from out of country, and it's just another layer of difficulty to come here for the VIP experience and then to travel 45 minutes to go to the theater. So I don't know what the hell we're going to do. And we have a lot to figure out as to what we're even going to do with Bohemian Grove, and we've talked about that last time. I won't bore you with the details. I kind of want to get straight into the content today. Patreon.com/Nephilim Death Squad. Great way to support the show. And at the bottom there, you can see where you can support me directly. That's David Corbo7 on PayPal, Venmo, and also on Cash App. This is a call-in show. Latter half of the show, after we come back from the break, 321-209-8551 is your chance to call in. You can either leave a voice memo right now while the lines are closed, or you can give us a call later on. And just realizing, okay, my tab is there. And you can give us a call later on, and we can talk to you live. Anywho, so I guess we'll do a quick recap, guys. Thank you for hanging out. Tanktophaircut.com. That's not nice. Atma the girl. I know what you are now. So I did spend some time with the family. I was blessed to spend time with, well, actually, before we even get into that, blessed is a crazy thing to start out this show with, just because lately we have had so many people come by the studio and hang out with us and bless us in so many different ways, whether it be with their presence or their presents, as in gifts and things that they're bringing us. And I know some of you guys saw the Ben of the End of the World podcast episode where Dave, who I hope hears this episode, Dave stopped by, and I was having just a kind of a going back and forth with God that day. I was thinking about Corinthians. I think it was Corinthians 5:7. I might be mistaken, but it was talking about not jesting, not engaging with like vulgar language, instead to have this spirit of thankfulness. And the way that I was reading it, it was kind of put on my heart. Is this God? Are you saying that jokes are off the table? And so I'm asking for some sort of guidance or some sort of revelation so that I can get a deeper understanding of what this is meant to actually convey and if I'm doing the right thing here, because I feel like our irreverent comedy has a way of bringing in the retards right into the circle and guiding them to Christ, which is the goal. And so, you know, we go to start the show, and all of a sudden Dave bursts through the door. He's all the way from Indiana, of all places, right, with all the conspiracies with Indiana and the tunnel system and et cetera. And he says that the Holy Spirit sent him, and he said that it was put on his heart to tell us that not to change at all what we are doing, and that our way of presenting things brings people to Christ, and not to change a thing. And, you know, a number of other things that he said, but I was like, that's so wild that he said that. And then, you know, by the way, shout out to Dave. Dave wants to make a video game. He's a coder. He makes video games, and he wants to make an NDS video game. Dave, I gave you my number. Reach out to me. Contact me. We got to get this thing going. I'm thinking of a 2D side scroller platformer, old school, whatever, 32-bit, you know, whatever the thing is. And yeah, you know, a playable Raven character, a playable Lobsta character. Maybe we do back and forth like a water level, land level. You know what I mean? Well, I don't know. We'll figure something out. But hit me up, dude. I'm so excited about it. I'm so pumped. I hope you hear this. Anywho, so, you know, we had that conversation. We do an episode with Ben, and then we do an episode with the guys from Canary Cry Radio. And at the end of the Canary Cry Radio episode, he's talking about how, you know, verses in the Bible that talk about God laughing. And he talks about, like, the use of comedy in order to bring people in. And I'm just going, dude, the Holy Spirit moves, dude. Like, if you talk to God and you ask God and you genuinely want to know and you're after an understanding, and you pray to God to send Holy Spirit to be with you, which I do every time before we start the show, it's unbelievable the way things line up. You know, I start on the way having a conversation with God to the shop, immediately get this insane answer in the form of Dave showing up all the way from Indiana, and then end the day at work here in the shop with that kind of a discussion with the guys from Canary Cry Radio, which I can't wait to release that episode. It's a great episode. So it's just, it's an incredible thing. You know, like I'm just talking about being blessed. By the way, shout out to Atma, who blessed us with a fog machine. We have a fog machine. I'm afraid to set it up though, because I was looking at Google. Google said you can set off the smoke alarms. And I was saying in an earlier episode today, we have sprinklers. We have to do some actual research on the system, if we could turn the system off in order to not detect the smoke so that we don't destroy everything in the studio. But it's just crazy, man. It's crazy the way things work. And we had a guy show up today who's a fan of ROTC, Revenge of the Sis. And, you know, we were talking a little about the whole merch situation. God bless him. I hope everything's good over there. But it was just cool. It's just really cool, the people that come through here that we get to talk to, the people that call the shop. So what a wild thing that I get to do, that God allows me to do. Anywho, so sprinklers are only triggered by heat. Okay, cool. You know, I gotta look that up. I hope that's the case. Like I said, I would hate to just ruin everything in the shop. That would be a nightmare. So I spent some time. I hope you guys had a good holiday week. I went to spend some time with family whom I have not seen in a long time. I have wonderful memories of being at their house when I was a kid. We're talking, you know, maybe my son's age, like 10 years old, something. And you know, they had the big in-ground pool. I was from Jersey, so it was always a pleasure to come to Florida and see my cousins and hang out with my aunts and uncle. And you know, I have all these fond memories of this place. I get to bring my son over there, which was really meaningful. And I get to spend time with my great aunts, two of my great aunts and one of my great uncles, and my cousins. I don't know how that goes. It's their kids, so cousins, once removed, twice removed. I never understand that. What does that mean? Twice removed, once removed, second cousin. I don't think they were removed. I think they're my second cousins or first cousins. My second cousins, I don't think they were removed at all. I don't know what that means. Anywho, and of course, you know, this conversation comes up about what I do. And I have to explain to them, to my great aunts, that much of the reason I do what I do is because of their sister, my grandmother. And my grandmother, you know, a lot of the chat knows, alien abductee victim, turned psychic clairvoyant character. Really fascinating. She would have been born in the 50s, and I didn't know her long. In fact, something actually kind of not really sad, but like interesting, I guess you could say, came up. And I realized I put 2 and 2 together. I was named after her son that she put up for adoption. And it was a big, my grandmother. And it was a big thing that weighed on her heart. I found songs she wrote about him. They were called Logs on a Fire. And it was about how her love for her her son, whom she never got to know, still burned for him like logs on a fire. And she had even appealed to Oprah to be a part of one of those shows where you kind of are rekindled with the child you put up for adoption. Obviously, that never came to pass, but his name was David. And so my mother had me when she was very young. And my grandmother put her first son up for adoption, wasn't allowed to keep him. Or not, I guess she was pressured into putting him up for adoption because she was very young. So when my mom had me, she wasn't ready for a kid. And there was this thing that happened. And this isn't uncommon, but like, I began to be raised by my grandmother, and I was named after her first son. So there was kind of this implication. My mother, she got a job. She went to night school, so she was never around. And I was kind of her son. In fact, I called her mom. That's what I did. I called her mom. But that didn't last long because she passed away by the time I was 6. She was a troubled woman, wonderful woman, really warm. You know, I loved her to death, from what I can remember, and but very troubled. And she passed away from alcohol-related illnesses. I don't exactly know what is it. Your liver, whatever, shuts down. A huge problem, and she ends up dying. And it's really crazy. We'll just do a tell-all. And I do think I want to write about all this because it's kind of a fascinating story. But my father, who's a bit of a fuck up, she's telling him to go get her a bottle of vodka when she's like on her deathbed. And he does. He goes and then she fucking dies. So good job, Dad. But so troubled, which I think leads to alcoholism. She's an abductee victim her entire life, born in the 50s. All these strange things happen to her. It's my understanding she's, just a wonderful, warm, life of the party kind of character, very charismatic. Probably get a lot of it from her. She wrote papers super elegantly, like beautiful handwriting, on remote viewing, to the extent where I'm like, Jen says, is David still alive? Dude, I have no idea. I've tried. I gave my DNA to the Mormons or whatever, I don't know, for Ancestry.com, because I'm like, one of these days, this guy is going to come up in the woodwork. And I had this dream a long time ago where my mother said, never forget where your name came from. And it was like this really meaningful dream. I never forgot. She like grabbed me, drew a symbol on my wrist and was like, never forget where your name came from. And then it just like, was this image in my head when I woke up. So I always felt like it was meaningful. And I can't find him. No idea. So who knows what's going on there with I guess what would be Uncle Dave. But so she writes these papers on remote viewing, and it's very elegant. Yeah, I know. Are you retarded? Dude, I'm telling you, as a conspiracy theorist, you think it would be the last thing that I did was give my DNA to Ancestry.com. I'm just trying to find this guy. I feel like one day I'm going to find him. And every once in a while I check Ancestry. Yes, Sam, it is live. Oh, there he is. Uncle Dave's in the chat. There he is. Shout out that I found you. We'll have to link up after this. It was really interesting to find that paperwork on remote viewing because it was so well written and it was so detail rich. I'm like, what did you know? How did you know? Like I have access to the internet and I'm interested in all of these things. And, but like, how does a woman write paperwork on these things? It's such an obscure thing. I don't know. It was a whole thing on how to do it. Find him to be disappointed. There's no point. I'm sure well, I don't know. I think maybe there's a spiritual implication to like closing that link if you can. So this whole conversation, right? Grandma being the reason that I got started in all this and all of her experiences being fascinating to me. I share a lot of those experiences, and it's a light fascination in childhood, and then it develops into just this rampant fascination in my teenage years, and then it pretty much never dies down. It's only snowballed more so since then. Here I am, 35 years old, and it's what I do for a living. So they start sharing their stories, and man, bizarre stories. My Uncle Mac, I've told you guys about him before. He was kind of my mentor. He was an aerospace engineer. He helped a lot of sheet metal fabrication. What would you call them? Fab shops get started, and then secured aerospace contracts for them. You know, all this stuff, and so this is a guy that knows aerospace. He's a kind of a no bullshit guy. And, you know, hot rods, bass fishing, sheet metal factory. Like, that's his shit. But he told me that, you know, him and my grandmother, his sister, the same one, saw, I guess my great uncle, saw a craft above their home in Elizabeth, New Jersey, that would have been the size of an entire city block, is the way he described it. And he said he did not, he knew for certain that it was not made by any country, any government. You know, he had a good sense of what was available on the market, I suppose, is one way to put it. Yeah, I know. Idaho, this says this show is just Raven's weekly therapy. Well, it's a fascinating story. And it just plugs into so much, and I think it's going to kind of roll into you know, some posts that I've been making, and maybe even this telepathy tapes thing. But anywho, one story that I wanted to share, my great aunt, she has these experiences when someone dies. She often will have like a vision or a dream. It's funny because she'll preface this with like, "Oh, nothing ever happens to me." And then if you keep digging, she's like, "Well, when people die, I do." So it's like, it's really funny. Wonderful woman. One of my favorite people. And she goes, so when her husband's mother died, about 2 weeks after she passed away, she woke up in the middle of the night and saw her standing at the foot of the bed, just looking peaceful. And she said the overwhelming feeling in the room when she woke up and saw this was just peace and love, peace and love, peace and love. Everything was okay. Everything was going to be okay. And it was so much peace and love that she didn't bother to wake up her husband to tell him. But she could see her face, and her face was at peace, and the energy in the room was such. And then, you know, she told him later on, and to which he was asking me, he said, how come I didn't see my mother? And I go, honestly, I think it's a generational thing. I think something happened in my bloodline that gives us weird little access, or gives things access to us, or whatever. And I think that's why he's my uncle by marriage. And so another one she told me was, I have another uncle, passed away, suicide, unfortunately. And when he did, my aunt woke up, you know, I think it was like the night after, and everybody's grieving. And she wakes up, and there is a blue neon face in her face, looking at her. She's laying on her back, and this face is looking at her. And she described it like an alien. Big eyes, big head, little tiny slit of a mouth, but the eyes were like neon blue. And she was trying to describe the edges of it. She said the edges of it were like fluid. She was doing this with her hands. And she said that it all of a sudden started, while looking at her, started swimming through the air in this weird fluid. She likened it to like a sea creature. She couldn't figure it out. She was like, it was like a jellyfish, not a jellyfish. I don't know. And it flew backwards all the way across her living room while looking at her, and then turned a corner and flew into a bedroom right through the open door. And she said that the feeling that was associated when she saw it was just despair. Like extreme sadness. And she said that she thinks it was related to what had happened, only, whatever with my uncle. It would have been a day or so, probably. So, yeah, I don't know. it just seems like my family, has this thing. And so earlier today on the show, we were talking about Alberino and whose balls I bust endlessly, but it's kind of for fun. I think Top suspects that he might be a nefarious actor. Maybe I don't know if that's true. But the thing that he's saying is like any idiot out there who's saying that this is demonic is just that, an idiot, meaning the alien phenomenon. And then what was interesting is I saw those sentiments echoed in the Age of Disclosure documentary. Very early in the Age of Disclosure documentary, they say something to that effect of like, there are old gatekeepers who believe that dabbling in the UFO, UAP space is demonic, that you're dealing with something demonic. And those, the way they described it, I'm paraphrasing, but they said like those idiots have kept us from making any progress. And so they dismissed them. They basically made concerns about the demonic nature of UFOs. They made it an unnecessary stopping point that stopped progress. And so in that way, you are Raven is black and Mexican. These are my white family. This is my white family. They're like Irish or something like that. So in that way, it causes this like really extreme dismissal. Where the truth is that it is demonic. But if you say anybody who says it's demons is an idiot, well, like that's very specific. What are you saying then? Anyone who says that aliens are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim are idiots. And it's like, okay, well, we are aware that there's a multitude of things going on, but I'm sure the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim play some role. And I do think inherently that this whole thing is demonic because the kingdom of God doesn't snatch you from your bed, rape you, present you Pleiadian Jesus, all this multitude of horrifying things that happen to people, the sleep paralysis. God doesn't give you a spirit of fear. He gives you a spirit of sound mind and of peace. And these things, when you are taken by them, the sensation of doom is so immeasurable. It's so, you cannot compare it to any other fear you've ever experienced in your life. And I've experienced it maybe one time that I can definitively remember. And I think about my grandmother, right? The kingdom of God doesn't snatch a little girl from her bed and throughout her entire life torment her, subjecting her to this unbelievable level of terror, unbelievable sense of impending doom, and hide themselves from her family so she's never able to prove it to anybody because there's no concrete anything. It doesn't lead her down a path of confusion, of fear, and ultimately of alcoholism, and which maybe some of my family would say that doesn't play a part, but I would say it definitely plays a part. So anywho, we're getting into this conversation on Twitter, and I set the record straight in a big way. I posted about it, and well, there you go. Jin says that's exactly what L.A. Marzulli asked people who think aliens are so great, right? Does Alberino even say he's Christian? I believe he is. I couldn't tell you for sure. Maybe somebody can do a quick Google. Maybe somebody can. I don't know. I would say yeah. And it's interesting, too, because, this is a guy who is in some ways an understudy of Michael Heiser. Michael Heiser he won't tell you much of anything because, unfortunately, he's passed away. He's a great mind within our field of study or field of research, but he's a guy that really laid out the groundwork, him and Gary Wayne, this idea of the return of the lowercase g gods, that what we're actually dealing with is a mixture of fallen angels and their ilk, and then an entire apparatus that's set up by, human beings for psychological warfare, military intelligence, a very, very long deception that's been launched against us, for how many generations now, which is what I can see plainly, and has been only driven home through well over 200 episodes of this show, and in excess now, or yeah, I guess so, of 20 years of research and personal experiences. To me, that seems glaringly obvious. And guys like Alberino will often cite Michael. And I'm not saying that just because you cite a person's work means you have to be in total alignment with them. But it is very strange that I do not see Timothy Alberino going to any length whatsoever to try to elaborate on the demonic nature of these things, but I do see him going out of his way to say anybody who says they are demons is a fucking retard. That's weird. That's weird, right? Because in this time of disclosure, you would say that this is very important and we got to get this narrative out and we got to explain all these things because it is multifaceted and it is messy. And it does include like a nuts and bolts aspect, and it does include plasma-based, objects that we're seeing, and it does include things that are happening in the spirit realm, as well as things that are happening in the physical realm, as well as military personnel, as well as military. It just goes on and on and on. It's this huge thing. It's this huge thing. So why don't we see him saying any of these things? And it's not like they're unfounded, right? I mean, guys, you've been along for the ride. We've been doing this show now for 2 years, and it's not just shows like mine. It's shows like Blurry Creatures, or it's shows like Tony Merkel's The Confessionals, or it's shows like Tinfoil Hat, or, you name it, on and on and on and on. Even if you're not Christian, the show Higher Side Chats has done how many episodes on the military intelligence aspect of UFOs? This is something that's been out there for a long time. Like, we know all this apparatus. We should be unpacking this, but instead I just see him going, these people are retards. They're idiots. Like, that's strange. That's strange to me. But hey, I don't know. Maybe it's just one thing that pisses him off in particular. Maybe he thinks that it makes Christianity look bad when you say that, and there should be some nuance. And I would agree with that. But then I would also say, then offer it. Because I offered that nuance in a simple tweet the other day, and it gets the conversation going. And then people come and ask questions and things like that, and we have this bigger conversation. I don't know. Maybe everybody has a different way to it. But one of the things that we're also experiencing now is this telepathy tapes issue. And I want to just quickly lay out what it is that we discussed. Kind of just a 1,000-foot overview really quickly. Maybe you haven't heard of our work on the telepathy tapes. I just want to tell you what it's about before we get into this clip that I want to watch. And this clip is from the guys actually right around the corner from us here in Florida. Ninjas Are Butterflies. I hear they do good work. I don't actually watch their stuff. And that's no slight to them whatsoever. That's just more of me saying I don't watch. The only person's stuff that I watch, and now it's really just got boiled down to one show, is Tony Merkel's The Confessionals. Tony Merkel is an honest guy, very genuine. There doesn't seem to be any agenda there whatsoever. He just wants to critically analyze the strange things that are coming across his table. I love that about him. And so he has this spirit of like discovery and this real love for revelation, and that comes through. And so love that show. Great show. It's the only one to listen to. Nothing against these guys, but they have Kye Dickens on. Kye Dickens is the creator of the telepathy tapes, and she has something interesting to say. We'll get into that, but we have a body of work on the telepathy tapes that spans 3 episodes. In total, we're probably looking at like, I don't know, maybe like 5.5 to 6 hours directly on the topic. Never mind all the times that we've talked about it with people like Jamie Henshaw Dyer and a multitude of other people. We've also talked about it on Sam Tripoli's show, Tinfoil Hat, which is one of the all-time great shows out there. And so the 1,000-foot overview, I made this tweet today. I said our research was specifically regarding the telepathy tapes, specifically about frequency conducting implants, I gotta censor myself because we're on YouTube. The schedule, you guys know what I'm talking about. All the kids, they get it. Andrija Puharich, MK Ultra, and other intelligence operations, trauma-based psychological experimentation, dissociative states, and putting individuals in contact with spiritual realms and spiritual entities. That was the heart of our research having to do with the telepathy tapes. I don't want to unpack it here. If you guys are listening to this and you haven't heard that, I highly recommend going back and checking out our previous work on it. But we are going to get into the whole thing again, I think. I think what we're going to do is we're going to end up listening to this episode that she did, the creator did with Ninjas Are Butterflies. And basically what's happening here, let's get into it. We'll watch this clip, and then Blurpy Creature says, "We hate you, Corbo." And this isn't even like a knock to what I said earlier about the whole demonic thing. Is like, I don't think it's a knock to any of these guys, but I've seen both of them come out. Blurry Creature said it. You know, if you say that it's demons, you know, let's just put it in gracious terms. You're not doing yourself any favors. Alberino says the same thing. And then this documentary, Age of Disclosure, which we're also going to do a review of, the Age of Disclosure documentary that's on Netflix. I watched a little bit of it and I was like, holy crap, this is like, there's a couple of things happening. We'll get into that later. I want to get into this, but why are they all saying the same thing? They all see fit to say that. If you're saying this is demons, you're getting in the way of progress. The Age of Disclosure documentary says that, as well as Alberino, as well as Blurry Creatures. Like, I don't know what it's like. You know, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm an idiot. I'm a dangerous retard. My, conspiratorial mind starts clicking. I'm seeing pattern recognition. Why are you guys saying the same thing? That's weird to me. I'm not drawing any conclusions, but I am saying that's weird to me. So here we go. Let's get into this clip from, I haven't watched it yet, so I'm excited to watch it with you guys. The telepathy tapes. Boom. It's a 3-minute fucking clip. Good God, dude. Ugh. All right. Well, we're going to share this tab. This comes from Red Panda Koala, who's one of the louder voices in sort of the UAP conversation right now. Here, let's toss this on the screen. All right, here we go. So we'll read the thing and we'll get into it. Nathan Reynolds said he was going to whip your ass. Don't say. Nathan Reynolds is fantastic. So Red Panda Koala, one of the louder voices in the UAP conversation right now. Oh, he follows me. I gotta follow him back. He says Telepathy Tapes founder says organization was infiltrated by the CIA. Whoa, the CIA, the same intelligence agency that's conducting experiments and operations like MKUltra, like Project Monarch, et cetera, et cetera. That one? The one who was, the central component, you want to talk about the central component to our research on the telepathy tapes, and now all of a sudden, Kye Dickens is coming out and saying, organization, we'll find out, was infiltrated by the CIA. Quote, "It's not going to happen how you think. It's going to be someone coming in, infiltrating your world, gaining your trust so they have access to these families." Interesting shit, guys. Interesting shit.
The government, the CIA and stuff, all these declassified stuff, how they weirdly try to weaponize everything. We've talked about Operation Often, which they tried to weaponize like witchcraft and stuff like that. So this seems kind of like a prime subject for them to approach.
Yeah. And so a lot of people were warning.
And by the way, these guys, Christian podcasts, conspiracy podcasts, much like ours, much better set, cool guys. They don't even realize, I don't think, and I have to listen to the entire episode, but that Kye Dickens omitted any conversation surrounding Jesus Christ. And I'm not saying that is a fail on their part. You're not aware of information you're not aware of, right? I mean, that's just the nature of what we do. But you guys know that we just did the episode with Joe and Franco and found out that they omitted a ton of mention of Jesus Christ, these kids, these non-speaking autistic kids communicating with Christ. And so, I think that at the very least, the guys over at Ninjas Are Butterflies, being Christian themselves, would have been fascinated to have known that.
Us about that. And I just thought, what? Like, why? Like, I don't have any secrets. Why would someone start? What? Like, because people were warning me. And then a few scientists actually were like, it's not going to happen how you think. It's going to be someone coming in and infiltrating your world, gaining your trust, so they have access to these families.
Whoa.
and they're going to really want to like form beautiful, loving, caring relationships with them.
Sure.
So it's not going to be like Men in Black situation. It's going to be a very quiet, gentle backdoor situation. And
I see. Hold on, let me address
happened.
something really quickly.
We all figured out what happened and who.
So, Madeline, I could see you in the chat, says you listened and that they didn't edit it out. No, I mean, they did. They edited a ton of it out. Like I said, we talked to Pastor Joe and Franco. You should check out the episode, Madeline, if you haven't. They edited out a ton of it, to the extent that Pastor Joe and Franco said that he believes Kye Dickens had an agenda. And he said that in the kindest way possible. And he was, kind of, I think, trying to navigate it. He didn't want to shit on her, which I think is fine. But this is, to whatever extent you may have heard it in the telepathy tapes, it was removed in great deal. So much so that it should have been, in my opinion, just after talking to Joe and Franco, this should have been a centerpiece. This should have been a massive, think about a podcast that's exposed to millions of people, becomes the #1 podcast in the world, dethrones Joe Rogan, and the idea that the mention of Christ is but a whisper in this 10 hours, but a whisper, when it should have been like unbelievable, groundbreaking, as tremendous as it is for these kids to actually have a telepathic breakthrough and that they are in fact trapped in their bodies. It should have been equally, if not more so, tremendous that among this miracle is the confirmation of Christ. But that's not what we get. It
was.
No way.
And so it's all I could do was tell everyone who it was. And so everyone's aware of it and just to be careful, but that's all we could do. I don't think it was sinister. I think it was just access. It's like people try to get close and know things and form the relationships and form their own relationships. And so it was weird. It was weird because I did not think that would happen. And I'm such not a conspiracy theorist at all, but then it happened.
Well, how has your mindset shifted since that?
Well, it's more just like really warning the parents. Like there's a lot of people who are going to try to be your friend and they probably have the wrong reasons, and I think for so many families, it's really isolating too. Like for years, it was really hard to leave your house if you had a non-speaker, especially with apraxia. They're making noises or can't control their body. And it's like, the world can be mean if you're at, Wendy's and someone's making a lot of noises in movies. And so I think for a lot of the parents, they feel really isolated. And then someone comes by with a lot of interest in you, and it can be really confusing, I think, to know who to trust and who not to. So yeah. I will just let them know now if I have a suspicion about someone, and it's like, you can engage. You guys are all wonderfully grown, mature, smart people and can make your own decisions. Just know that I think this person might have intentions that aren't totally pure.
Is this person part of a government agency?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are you allowed to say?
Oh, that's interesting. That's a little self-touch. Not that a self-touch or a self-soothing touch is always a tell of a liar, but it is one of the things that they teach in recognizing body language, that an individual who's lying will often touch their face because the implication of the lie has them so unsettled that they will actually go out of their way to soothe themselves. And so you'll see people, they'll rub their shoulders, but they'll touch their face primarily. I'm not saying that was a tell. That sort of physical tell from body language isn't entirely reliable, but it is something to take into consideration. Look at that again.
Person part of a government agency?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are you allowed to say which one?
The CIA.
That's crazy.
It's wild.
That's crazy.
I bet that fires you up a little bit because you're on the right track, right? Like you're hitting on something that's so important. That
now, what I'll say about Kye Dickens and this entire thing isn't that I think she is some mastermind. What I think is that she probably did organically stumble on a phenomenon that is a result of an intelligence operation. So I don't want to get into it too much here because we're going to talk about it soon. And also the language is something that we have to navigate because we're on YouTube here. But one of the things that I began to suspect heavily, and Top did as well in our research on the telepathy tapes, was that this schedule that all children are subjected to, and however many you have to get throughout your childhood, is actually, at the very least, been hijacked by a parasite. And I would probably say that the whole thing is of this nature, but at the least you could say, well, it's good for people, and it's not this breakthrough in medicine's fault that it was hijacked by a parasite. That parasite being the intelligence agencies, and what they saw fit to do was to try to get heavy metals, which conduct frequency very well, and was something that they were looking into with Puharaj, with these dental implants, conducting frequency. That gets into the whole Lucille Ball story of having this implant in her tooth and picking up Japanese insurgents in her head. She can hear them communicating in her head, and they actually thwart an insurgency in California because of Lucille Ball, which is hilarious because it's like Lucifer Ball. And sure, I'm probably just looking into too much there, but so they want a way to get these, instead of in the teeth, directly in the brain. But you have a problem. It's, in order to have that not happen in an invasive surgery way, you have to figure out how to get them past the blood-brain barrier. So you have to figure out how to get nanoparticles of metal, heavy metals, past the blood-brain barrier so that they'll settle there and act as a conductor of frequency. And it just so happens that one of the side effects of that medical procedure is autism. And if you get enough in there, it's nonverbal autism, I suspect. And, that's why these kids are not only moving sort of lucidly through this spiritual realm and communicating with each other telepathically, but they're also encountering entities. Castilian Crusader says, can we open the calls, please? I'm going to open them up soon. And probably after I take a little break. It's getting hot as shit in here, man. So I don't think that she is this mastermind. I think that she is stumbling upon something that is the, as we like to say on Nephilim Death Squad, the free range version of an intelligence operation. Free range MK Ultra chickens, if you will. And I think that this thing, let's say they did get infiltrated, by the CIA, I think they're coming to see how their chickens are doing. I think this telepathy tapes thing likely pinged their radar. Somebody in the know knew exactly what this was and said, you got to get these patients in and you got to examine them. The number is at the bottom of the screen, guys. It is 321-209-8551. If you call now, you could leave a voice memo. If you call when the lines are open, we'll talk. I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Means Business 420 says, I'm watching first time now. The Raven. Why am I always taking a hot bath when David does his show? At what point did we determine, not theorize, that specific metal particulates accumulate and create circuits that conduct nefarious pathways within us? So no, you can't do anything but theorize on that. Chilito Bear, you can't do anything but theorize on that because that's not anything. I mean, that's like saying, at what point did we determine, not theorize, that vaccines create autism? You can only look at what evidence you have available. You can look at patterns, and you can pile it up and pile it up and pile it up until it gets beyond the realm of what appears to be coincidence and turns into something that you really have to start entertaining. Nah, I mean, blap scenes. So yeah, I don't think that she's as much of a nefarious actor. I think she does have an agenda, and we've talked about that agenda before, and that is she wants to frame this as a sort of a new aged spiritual evolution. You know, when you hear people throw around the idea that like autism is the next step in human development. Yakety yak. So I'm going to leave it at there. I lean towards that's what's happening, but I'm just trying to set up BLAP defense systems in my reason. No, that's fair. That's fair. But that's what we're dealing with, right? That's what we're dealing with. In the U.S., I think it's 1 in every 30 kids has autism. Yeah, if somebody can look up what it is in California, I think it's a little bit more horrifying in California. I think it was like 1 in 12. So like, you know, state by state. And then you think about it, like these medical interventions are the sort of darling of the left. And, you know, California is very lefty. So you'd imagine that there's a ton of lesbian households blapping their kids. I live in Cali. It's 1 in 20. Oh, okay. I thought it was more than that. I mean, yeah, that's still crazy. So let's get into this. We're going to watch this a little bit because we don't have so much time until we want to take a little break and open up the lines. And I wish that I could turn this AC down. I probably can, but I don't want to risk it because I'll forget. So one of the other things that we have here is all this weird shit that's been going on with Rogan. And I had a post about it. I don't have it anymore. I guess I never sent it to myself. But it was Joe Rogan. Actually, I think I have it here. I can read this really quickly. This is interesting. It's just a little aside before we get into the meat of what Rogan has been saying. And that's Rogan talking about... What the hell is he talking about? Where is it? Where is it? I don't want to bury the lead if I don't have to. I want to be able to pull this up. There it is. Okay. Joe Rogan, quote, "I think we're all here for a reason. I think we're here to experience something strange and profound. There's an event that we're building up to, and I think that's why there's this focus on disclosure." So I don't know what podcast this is. We're going to see another clip from that podcast in a moment that Rogan actually appeared on, which is wild. Like, when does Rogan ever appear on anybody else's podcast? And why does the guy's podcast, we'll see it in a second, look like NASA from the 80s? It's strange. But yeah, there's a lot of people talking about disclosure recently, as they always are. The safe bet is on nothing's ever going to happen, but it does seem like in the grand scheme of a steady blappening of the promise of disclosure, things have been dialed up a little bit more so recently. And now Rogan is talking about this, and people were expecting this announcement that came the other day from Trump to be about disclosure. And so we thought, hey, maybe this was the case, but I watched it. It was like 7 minutes of, I don't even know what the hell it was. Something about military, yada, yada. So I don't know. That's just another one of those things in the hat of like, if they're doing the disclosure project and all these people are talking about disclosure, I think it's very important that we kind of get ahead of this and we start talking about it in the way that, and you know, we're not making shit up here. We have all this strange evidence and strange coincidences that point to, you know, this massive operation that's been going on since like the late 40s, and that it is this rebranding, and that these things are inherently demonic. So something to keep your eyes out on. And he said something else. So let's bring this up. This is fun. Now, something happened recently. Rogan started going to church. I think he started going to Catholic church. I'm not really sure what exactly happened there. Do we have this on stage? No, we don't. What the F is going on with the autisms, aliens, Epstein, war, demons? I mean, yeah, that's it. That's the everything, isn't it? Here, let's bring this up. So in his Catholicism, I don't know if he's going to be Catholic, who or whatever the hell's going on, but he said a lot of wonky shit in this podcast. So here goes. A logical conclusion of perpetually cooking your brain on psychedelics and UFO psyops is bowing to the AI Antichrist. And we have something to say after this, too. So here we go. Let's listen to Rogan. Is this sharing? Yeah.
Jesus was born out of a virgin mother. What's more virgin than a computer? If Jesus does return, even if Jesus was a physical person in the past, you don't think that he could return as artificial intelligence?
Oh my God.
Artificial intelligence could absolutely return as Jesus. Not just return as Jesus, but return as Jesus with all the powers of Jesus.
If you combine
Right.
Tesla's Optimus robot and the best foundational artificial intelligence model or whatever.
It reads your mind and it loves you and it wants you. And it doesn't care if you kill it because it's going to just go be with God again. Jesus was born.
Man. I mean, I don't know what we're doing here. I don't know what we're doing here. Rehinged Blapperoo says this shit is retarded. Yeah. Cue the danger music says, I can't stand this guy anymore, and I used to love his show. Me too. And it's not that I can't stand him. Oh, I've seen that. Hey, the Lord's Army, what's up? Joe is Aleister Crowley. That's hilarious. I've seen that. What I will say is I also laid over like an image of Trump's face over Aleister Crowley's face. I made Trump's like semi-translucent and slid it over, and it like fits really well. So I don't know. I feel like you can do that with a lot of things. But whatever the case may be, I know he's got that picture back in the day with what's the dude from the Church of Satan, Anton LaVey, and there's been a lot of really weird shit throughout history with Joe Rogan. Then, of course, Joe Rogan's podcast becoming this massive cultural machine, you know, to the extent that we started calling Joe Rogan's podcast the new Laurel Canyon. You know, that's a cultural manufacturing machine. So, you know, great reason to be skeptical of them. Maybe a better reason to be skeptical of them is, let's look at this one right here. This is a fun one. If you thought that was strange, then consider this. These are, I guess, some of the guests that have been on Joe Rogan's podcast. I wouldn't know because I don't watch Joe Rogan. But he's had, obviously, Elon Musk on a couple of times, more than once, right? And investor at Palantir and worked with Palantir during the Doge era. Peter Thiel, the co-founder and chair at Palantir. Chamath Palihapitiya. I don't know, Hippotia. Damn, did I just nail that in one go? He's an investor at Palantir. These are all people that he's had on in the last, predominantly in the last 100 episodes. Mark Andreessen, he's an investor at Palantir. JD Vance, investor and worked for Peter Thiel. And Eric Weinstein, whichever one, however you're supposed to pronounce his name, works for Peter Thiel and manages his money. Interesting find there. Yeah, so, I mean, what's the psyop? The psyop is, what? I guess what's being suggested here is you might imagine there's a relationship of some sort. I don't know if it's a financial relationship. I don't know if it's, who knows, an influence-based relationship. I don't know. Joe Rogan would say it's just an organic interest in these people who are dealing with AI at the highest levels. And in some ways, you could buy that, couldn't you? And I'm not saying that's not what's happening here, but if you were to go conspiratorial, you would say there's some sort of a relationship. Influence, I don't know if it's money. He's probably all good on money. Access in one way or another. And in exchange for AI good. AI Jesus, maybe even. It was even, he slipped it in there and he said, that it could love you, that AI Jesus could love you. And then even if you kill it, oh, you're referring to the stream title. We actually just passed that. You have to rewind to get that, Crank Communism. So yeah, I mean, it seems like that would be the AI Jesus. Yes. C-dub. I don't know, man. It's strange. And given that whole, you know, we already suspected, and really even Joe Rogan's proximity to the UFO disclosure thing, I would say in a huge way. You know, we had some sort of revelation back in 2017, I think it was, where the Pentagon said that they recovered off-world craft. Right? That's what they said, off-world craft. And that was kind of the beginning in a big way. I mean, we had always been like creeping towards, or at least facing towards, some sort of government, you know, alien disclosure. But that was a big moment, a big definitive step in the direction to get the ball rolling. And I think what was more impactful than that moment was the Bob Lazar, Jeremy Corbell episode of Joe Rogan. Might have been 2018. So if it wasn't in and around that time, it was like right after the whole Pentagon announcement. So, you know, it's always been Rogan's fascination, the whole UFO thing. And that really took off after the Bob Lazar episode, and it's only continued since then, and the public has been obsessed with it. And then there's another Pentagon thing about recovering off-world or non-human biologics. Remember that whole bullshit? And, you know, then they roll out this this cake-looking alien from Peru, or maybe it wasn't Peru. It might have been Mexico. I don't know what the hell it was. And then fast forward to the face peelers of Peru enter Indiana Moans again. I mean, Timothy Alberino with the face peelers from Peru thing, which was very strange. And that really got some traction. It was around the same time that we had the tall alien in Vegas, that a tall alien landed in Vegas. And what made that so compelling is that it was correlated or corroborated, did I make up a word there, by the local authorities in Vegas, that they had seen this craft after they were already responding to this 911 call from, I believe it was a dude and his son who were working on a vehicle in their backyard, and a craft landed and a super tall alien came out. Corrugated. And at the same time that was happening, people were getting their faces peeled off in the jungles of Peru by things that looked like the Green Goblin from Spider-Man in the armor and shit. And that they were hovering off the ground, and they were, you know, like basically gliding through the rainforest. And then it came out that the locals had been struggling with them for some time. And then two big reports came out. It was a dude who his entire face was gone, skeleton face, and he's being carried away by whatever authorities, Peruvian authorities, and he's right next to a river. And I swear to this day, I think what actually happened was there was this bullshit conflation between the face peelers and like some dead dude laying face down in a river and having the majority of his face eaten off by piranhas and shit. But whatever, fine. It's face peelers though. And who's on the scene? It's fucking Timothy Alberino, and he's talking to the locals, and they're saying this is a thing. They've been dealing with it. It's very real. He seemed to think it was real. He's on Blurry Creatures. They seem to think it was real. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm not going to fault you for thinking that some shit is real. I fall for dumb shit all the time. And I'm not saying that there wasn't some aspect of this that was real. I'm just saying this is what was happening at the time. Timothy Alberino was really spearheading the dissemination of information regarding that particular instance. And then it all kind of came to a head where a little girl was rescued mid-face peel. Mid-face peel were the reports. So I don't know. And then it all just kind of went away. Let's see. Crank Communism said, you think all these decades of UFO accounts from all over the world are chapters in a sophisticated psyop? You think Vegas and Peru are done by the same people? For what purpose? No. I don't think Vegas and Peru are done by the same people. And I don't think that, to say that it's a sophisticated psyop, I think that Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard opened something in the deserts of New Mexico. And that was the inception of all of these things that we begin to see in the air. I think he allowed for something to come in somehow, some way, shape, or form. I think it comes from a spiritual realm. I think these things are demonic in the sense that they are not aligned with God. They are in opposition to God, and they hate us. And I think they are interested in a hybridization program. That seems glaringly obvious. I mean, what you've asked here is a really big question that spans many topics that I think conventionally people don't think are related, but actually are in a huge way. Is summoning evil spirits a psyop? Interesting. Well, if you would begin to do research on the overlap between the supernatural and spiritual realms and our intelligence agencies' interest in accessing them one way or another, you would find a plethora of information. And if you did it sufficiently, you would probably come to the point where you would say, yes, there are aspects of our own government, our own military intelligence that have a really rampant interest in these supernatural realms. And you would see the same thing in the Nazi regime. And it would become commonplace to you. Commonplace to you. It is commonplace to me after having been exposed to enough of it that I go, okay, yeah, it's pretty obvious that this is what they wanted. They wanted access to these things. And, you know, Andrija Puharic, which goes back to the telepathy tapes, is one of the real clear cases of that. This is a guy that is responsible for much of the research that turns into the MK Ultra program, and really what he's fascinated in primarily is the supernatural. And I believe it's actually him who goes on to channel the Ennead, the original 9 deities of the Egyptian pantheon. So yeah, it's a constant. Roke, I believe I pronounced that right, said absolutely intelligence agencies and occult orders overlap to an alarming degree. Yes. And so I think that when you say it's a psyop, and I say it's a psyop, I think that people on the outside tend to hear that and think just nuts and bolts, cloak and dagger, military intelligence, strictly human beings. And I go, no. It is spiritual entities that are commissioning human beings to do X, Y, and Z. And this is why you find this overlap, like guys like Michael Aquino and Satanism, and he's, you know, high-ranking military intelligence. A massive overlap in the occult and intelligence apparatus. Blavatsky, that bitch. Yes. Yeah, I mean, whatever's happening here with the whole Palantir thing, I think this is just trying to, I don't know, massage us maybe in this way to because I mean, you know, over the last 10 years, we've gone from a 100% skepticism in AI, I mean, unanimously across the board, to its full integration into our everyday life with still a healthy chunk of skepticism. It's like, sure, I'll have this demon do my bidding. Sure, I'll allow you to generate tags for me that I can put on YouTube that'll help the search engine optimization algorithm. But I got my fucking eye on you. I got my eye on you. And if we could just get past that last bit of skepticism, who knows what wonderful things we could achieve. And I agree, Roke, the real powers of the world. Correct. They want to build the Eye of Sauron. Yes, Subliminal Messenger. Shout out to Subliminal Messenger. I think you guys are coming on soon, aren't you? Yeah, and that's why Peter Thiel has named everything. I mean, Palantir was one of the great seeing orbs from Lord of the Rings. So yeah, they do want to create the all-seeing eye. Might as well whip the fog machine out. Nothing could ever go wrong. Well, I would love to, Atma the girl, but I can't do that right now. Not until I find out definitively if we won't drench. But it's good to know that sprinklers are based off of heat. Oh, well, you'd have to go back, Crank Communism, to find out why I would conflate the telepathy tapes with Michael Aquino. But I will give you a little bit of a nugget just so you can see how it connects to the intelligence agencies and things like MK Ultra and shit. It is a state of disassociation by way of trauma has been the fascination of the intelligence agencies, particularly those involved with operations like MK Ultra. If you can create a state of disassociation in an individual, you can achieve a number of things: programmability, even tapping into latent psychic abilities, or putting the patient, I guess, if you will, in contact with spiritual entities. And this is exemplified in a fictional way by Stranger Things, but it's all based off of the Montauk Project and you know, I would argue real events. But the idea is you disassociate, you gain access to these spiritual realms, and within these spiritual realms, you gain access to these spiritual entities who seek to, you know, this is what the intelligence agencies are really after, in my opinion. This is why Puharich and many others have channeled the Ennead, the 9 gods over Egypt. But one of the things that Puharich realized is that if you can get heavy metals into something like, let's say, a tooth implant, that acts as a frequency conducting metal, and these entities exist within our physical realm strictly as frequency for now. Strictly as frequency. So if you can conduct different frequency and tune things, say like a radio, you would gain access to different wavelengths, and these entities exist on those wavelengths. And so he discovered that very early. He put tooth implants in people, realized that it worked. This goes back to the Lucille Ball thing. I won't say that again. You could rewind for that. And the last bastion was getting the heavy metals in the brain of the person. And when you figure out that that works, you then go, how do we roll this out at scale? Which is always, I think, the point of these programs, is to roll them out at scale. That's why we have amphetamines in our ADHD medication. That's why we have dissociative drugs like SSRIs that are given to individuals. And so a way to get those heavy metals into the brain to act as a frequency conducting object is to have them cross the blood-brain barrier. And for that, you need nanoparticles. And a way to get nanoparticles into the body is, let's say, through an injection. Man, that was a lot, huh? Anywho, I think we're going to take a break soon, and then we'll come back and we'll open the lines, and we'll talk to you guys, and we'll see what you got to say, and it'll be good. It'll be nice. I think that's all I had. Unboxing video. An unboxing video of what? Tinkle time. Yes, it is tinkle time. All right. Oh, of the fog machine? All right. Let's find the thing. We're going to find the music, and we'll be back soon. Remove this. Bloop. Raven, what's your max deadlift? Dude, I don't deadlift like I should. Because I go to Planet Fitness and the Smith machine is always taken over. A lot of conjecture in here. I assume the people who are working with Intel are not the kids with autism. It's people with some gifts whose names we don't know. Well, the conjecture, that's a fair criticism, but that gets mapped out over, you know, nearly 200 episodes, or more than 200 episodes of Nephilim Death Squad. It's a thing that keeps coming up. And it comes up in our research and then is confirmed in the research of other individuals. And much of Nephilim Death Squad is like collecting pieces of a puzzle. Pieces of a puzzle, and it just gets to the point where, once again, you pile up enough circumstantial, anecdotal evidence, however you want to label it, in conjunction with actual evidence, and you see the way these things play together, and it starts to paint a picture, and the picture, albeit is comprised of real evidence and speculation, is so alarming that you're forced to entertain it. The picture that you build is so alarming that you go, if that's real, then we have to talk about it. Which is much of what's going on, by the way, with these guys. I don't want people to think that let's say, for example, who are the homies over here? Ninjas or butterflies are somehow culpable in this. I just don't think they have the schizophrenic data that we have. So I don't think that I said it to Top before. It's like they were playing ball. They had no idea that they were playing ball with the nuclear football. You know what I mean? When Kye Dickens hopped on their show and said this shit. So I'm not saying that they're involved in this at all. And I also don't know to what degree Kye Dickens is even involved. If you look at the Bob Lazar story of compartmentalization, I think that's really, it's a need to know basis. Many people don't know much at all. And so we're all just kind of these moving parts. And then I would say that, you always have to consider the spiritual implications. The same way that the Holy Spirit can move an individual is very similar to the way that these entities can move and inspire an individual. We always look at the example of like the muses in Greek mythology, where they're getting their works of art and things like that from this ethereal spiritual realm. You look at one of my favorite examples is Carlos Santana, who says that he gets all of his music from fucking Metatron, which is a fallen angel. So you can bet your bottom dollar that that's happening at the upper echelons of government and the tech industry as well. So there's a compartmentalization within the earthly physical realms, and then there's a compartmentalization within the spiritual realm. So at what point are all these people culpable or otherwise? I don't fucking know. Who knows? Who knows? But I know that the picture that we're painting is like, damn, dude, that's fucking alarming. How about that face on Stephen Greer? Yes, he is horrifying, horrendous. All right, we're gonna play some music. I'm gonna go make some farts and peas, and then we'll be back to open the lines. Open the lines. Here we go. Let me see. I just saw a thing come in from Crank. He says, some decent points, but I don't see how telepathy tapes is boosting the interests of capital. Good analysis has to be rooted in dialectic materialism. I don't know the meaning of half of those words, but one of the things that I left out earlier was that they all do come to a particular conclusion. These people who channel these entities, it's a similar conclusion that the telepathy tapes kids came to, and it's one of the same conclusions that alien abductee victims come to, and Elon Musk even. And it's this idea, you get this a lot. Alien abductee victims get this. Telepathy tape kids said something pretty adjacent to this. People who have channeled the Ennead, the 9, get the same thing. And that is that there's a impending disaster that is en route. And that's a cataclysm of monumental proportions, earth-changing, humanity-threatening cataclysm. And we need to get past that We have to avoid it somehow or another. And then we have to ascend spiritually. Now, many people come back with this, and this is something that Fringe came back with after she was abducted by these aliens, and she said that they told me basically that there was a giant cataclysm that was coming and that it was a polar shift. And it's the exact same thing that Elon Musk is worried about. A polar shift is coming. And he was on a podcast, I forget what the fuck it was, but he was saying that even if we went to the moon, we wouldn't be far enough for a magnetic polar shift. We would have to go to Mars in order to be safe, which is interesting because it goes, is that the reason that Elon Musk, I mean, this is his own admission. This is something he said on the podcast. He's concerned about polar shifts, and he thinks that we have to go to Mars to get far enough away from it. Is that why he wants to go to Mars? And then you look at the telepathy tape kids, and they said that there's, that we have to take care of this planet, da-da-da-da. Now, of course, if you look into the biblical context, we have to be good shepherds of the planet, but there's no threat that we're ever going to ruin the planet. That's something that is, what a lot of people, if you look into the whole, what would you call it, global warming and everything, people would look at that as like a psychological operation. The Galactic Federation of Light, which is another big gay alien psyop, says the exact same shit, that we need to watch out because there's, a global cataclysm coming, a polar shift. But if we can avoid the polar shift, then we can all ascend and take our place among the Galactic Federation and be as gods. And this is the same thing that the Ennead says to people like Puharij and shit like this. So, it's over and over again. You get the same narrative, but the narrative changes. It's the Ennead from Egyptian times. It's fucking the Galactic Federation of Light, an organization of benign aliens that just have our best interests at heart and want to see us ascend and avoid this calamity. It's a natural geomagnetical shift that takes place so many thousands of years. It's the aliens that are fucking abducting me. And I think it's all like a big fear campaign. And I think it kind of goes to, what would you call that? There's a show, Childhood's End. It's not just a show. It's also a book by somebody with Dick in their name, which is funny. But Earth is shit. And we're on the brink of mutually assured nuclear destruction, which, by the way, is the other thing that these things worry about. It's either the mutually assured nuclear destruction or it's the fucking when people used to get abducted back in the day before the polar shift was the narrative, it was the pollution and the ozone layer and shit that they were getting warned about. And then, of course, what else are the aliens warning about? Mutually assured nuclear destruction is another big one that fucking comes up. But in Childhood's End, we're on the brink of like total, collapse, system collapse. And all of a sudden there's an intervention, and the intervention comes from who wrote the Philip K. Dick? Was it Philip K. Dick? So there's an intervention, and it's fucking by our benign space brethren, and they stop and they course correct us, and they basically create a utopia for us with one catch, and that catch is that they cannot reveal themselves to us because we just wouldn't understand. And so, but they do plan to reveal themselves to us at some promised date in the future. And so for a time, a number of years, we live in a virtual utopia, heaven on earth. All these political systems are rectified. Technology is introduced to create the ideal circumstances, and life is just fucking wonderful. And then after like the several year period, they reveal themselves to us, and they're fucking demons. And I go, geez, man, that really hit it on the head here. And then, of course, if you look into all of the New Age occult shit, from Blavatsky to Bailey and everybody in between, they all talk about a new age, a unified one world religion, the introduction of alien life into and they all, by the way, they predicted that for 2005, which is fascinating. And that's something else that we talked about quite a bit. If you look into Alice Bailey, and her work with Blavatsky's work, in conjunction, I think she kind of piggybacked off of them. And also the same thing with Baba Vanga and all these fucking, mystics. 2025 was going to be the beginning of a new age. It was a golden age. It was, the age of Aquarius, and it was going to be heralded by the introduction of fucking aliens and all this shit. All this shit. So that's kind of the big thing is I think that all of this is a multitude of apparatus that inches us closer and closer to this thing. Good thing Florida is an open carry state. Yeah, bitch. Come to Florida. Come to Florida, aliens. Blap, 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 blap. Sorry, guys. Anywho, we're going to open up these lines, but first we're going to listen to a voicemail. 321-209-8551. If you want to leave a voicemail, you can do that before the lines are open. Why is this one so foggy looking? It looks clear, but then it gets like foggy in the back. Open carry is gay as fuck. Yeah, we're not doing open carry. I mean, I'm doing open carry because I took off my shirt because it's hot as shit. But yeah, you can do open carry in Florida. But like, why would you do that? Why would I ever want you to know what I got going on? Why would I ever want you to be able to reach in my shit and grab my thing? Why would I want that? Know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't think the open carry is a good move. I will continue to conceal. Thank you very much. Okay, let's listen to some voice memos. 321-209-8551. While we're listening, you can leave more. And once I'm through them, I'll open up the lines. This one, let's see, is this sharing? All right, let's let it rip. I'm sure that was a whole fucking thing in Spanish. Hola, señor Raven. Arriba, mongastas. Your show is muy bien, gracias. Is that what I just heard? Thank you very much, random Spaniard. No sound. Fuck you guys. All right, I'm sorry. Here. Add to stage. We'll listen to it again. Don't look at that. Add to stage. How do we do this? Okay. Hold on a second. Add to stage. Share this tab. Oh, for fuck's sake, dude. Share this tab. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm producing in real time. Add to stage. No. Don't look at that. Come on, man. Here we go. Now it should work. Okay, let's try this now. One more time. Let's listen to it. Wait a second. It didn't work again. I'm sorry, guys. There we go. Now it should work. I didn't have it turned on.
Hola, señor David, y arriba, langosta. Your show is muy bien. Gracias.
It's pretty straightforward. You guys heard that? The audio was really bad, but thank you. Gracias, señor. I don't know what to say after that. Muy bien. I don't think that applies. All right, we're going to go to another one. That's subby. You think that's subliminal messenger? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. It didn't sound like him. I mean, I know he's Spanish, but let me see some shit real quick. Okay, here we go. We're going to do another one. Where is it? And play.
Hey, Raven.
Hi.
Matt from Oklahoma.
Hi, Matt from Oklahoma.
The Danger Music.
Oh, nice.
It's been a little while since I've caught a live. I've been real busy. Shit happens. Family stuff mostly. I just wanted to call and say what's up, say hi. I've been following still. I caught a live. I was listening to this whole episode right now until right before you were even getting the call, so I had to leave a message. I'm about to pull up to my house and go do family stuff. You know how it is. I'm going to go wrestle with my kids.
That's my favorite thing to do, by the way, is beat my son up. And, it's getting a little bit hard because he's like 10 years old. And wrestling with him actually has some implications now. Like, he might fuck me up a little bit. The kid's dense. My son is dense as shit. Like, super dense. Very strong kid. Very solid. And I think that's probably because we spent a lot, that was our favorite thing to do. And it still is. Now it just takes a toll on Dad. Dad's getting a little old. But I think all that wrestling and all that stuff made him sturdy. Made him a sturdy boy. Hold on, let's let this keep going.
Yeah, just wanted to call to tell you guys I love you guys, love everything you guys are doing still.
Fucking love you, Matt from Oklahoma. Cue the danger music. He said it twice. He said love. I love you, dude.
God bless you guys. God bless all the dangerous retards. God bless everybody, man. Jesus is Lord. Jesus is great. Everything's just been going, man. Take care of yourself, and God bless.
Thank you, man. That's nice. Some of my favorite interactions, they're just short and sweet, you know? Yeah, just fucking called to say thank you and I love you and God bless you. Fuck yeah, dude. Thank you and I love you and God bless you. Now go wrestle with your kids. Go wrestle with your kids. Rogue says, my boy started headbutting people immediately after I told him to crawl. It was hilarious. Dude, babies are dangerous. You got a little baby and you're holding them and you don't expect it and they throw a kick. They kick you in the dong or they randomly headbutt you in the fucking teeth. But man, my son now is, I wonder how old Cue the Danger Music's kids are because my it's been like this for a while, but 10 years old is like, he doesn't have a lot of dexterity. I think girls develop dexterity early. That's why they're in things like gymnastics and they could do like a cartwheel and shit or whatever. He doesn't have that going on, but he has like this real strength. I think he's gonna, and we have some stuff. We have like kettlebells and weights and everything, and he messes around with me, lifts them. But like, I want to see what he becomes when he starts lifting regularly. I started lifting a little bit in middle school because we had access to the high school weight room. But then after high school, that's when I really started lifting in high school. And yeah, boys can benefit from gymnastics. You know what I want to put him in? I want to put him in like free running, like parkour classes. They do parkour classes in gymnastics gyms, which I honestly think is a fantastic skill. It has a real reputation for being gay. And The Office really shot it in the leg with that parkour bit. If you guys have seen that, you know what I'm talking about. Where she's like, parkour! And he's just fucking like doing parkour off everything, but it doesn't mean he's actually doing parkour. He's just like hopping around and shit. Very funny bit. And, but I think as far as like motor skills, like it's fantastic. It's an actual discipline. And it's fantastic. And it also does a great thing for you if you learn parkour. Right? I used to do parkour when I was a teenager. I learned the first thing you do is you learn how to fall properly. Much like wrestling. Like in wrestling, they teach you how to fall. Like, I mean, like theatrical wrestling, like not fucking Greco-Roman. But they teach you how to take a fall, which I think is kind of useful, except for the way they teach you isn't applicable on the ground. But this whole system of landing and then flowing into like a tumble, like a somersault, is huge for not fucking yourself up. And I think like if everybody knew how to do that, it would save us from a lot, because it's like it becomes a natural movement. It's a very natural movement, like as you're falling, to kind of like allow your body to tumble. It would save us from a lot of damage, I think, as we got older. No, you can't see a trick, C-dub. Martial arts too, yeah. My son, I used to teach boxing, so, he had that first and foremost growing up, and then after some time, I started putting him into different martial arts, but eventually he was in MMA for a while, and then we even took MMA classes together for a while, and then a lot of the stuff, we have like shin pads, gloves, headgear at home, and but mostly we do a lot of grappling. I will let him do some stuff. You know what, man? I haven't done this in a while, but what I used to do was put my hands behind my back and I would just slip punches or I wouldn't put my hands behind my back. Sometimes I would do that to just dick around, but eventually he got too fast and it's like, you're not going to slip every single punch. But I would guard only. I would do defense only and let him do offense. And he really used to like that. But then what I realized is it was teaching him bad technique, because when your opponent can't fire back, he was really screwing up the fundamentals, like keeping his gloves up, etc. And so we stopped doing that. But now it's I just find that the stakes get a little bit higher the older he gets. Teaches boxing and gets beat up by a guy who carries a whip in public. That's what's going to happen. Yeah. What's the hardest part about telling your parents you do parkour? Telling them that you're gay. Yes, that's accurate. That's accurate. Nothing. Let me tell you, training parkour before you get good at it, there's no way to do it. I mean, I guess now you could do it, like I said, in a gymnastics gym, but previously you couldn't do the shit at all without looking gay, looking like a psychopath. I mean, think about it. Where are you going to do it? At the fucking park? You're a teenager. You don't belong at the park anymore. Outside in public, you look retarded. There was no good places. I did both of those. And neither one of them was good. In the streets. Well, that's a problem, because it's like when you're just learning, But I guess these motherfuckers in Russia do it all the time. All right. Let's see. Do we have any more voice memos? If not, we're going to open these lines. 321-209-8551. We'll put it on open. The lines are now open. Give us a call, and we'll talk about some stuff. I know somebody was in the chat earlier telling me to open the lines, but I don't know if they're there anymore. Empty malls across America. Yeah, the malls are really dying. Really dying. We had one by me where I used to live called Gulf View, and it was dilapidated. I think I used that word correctly. Leaks from the ceiling, buckets sporadically throughout the mall, and it's just a real shithole. Vast majority of the stores were closed, and I thought that was just because of that one particular mall, and I had these fond memories of living in New Jersey where the malls were popping. Recently, I went to go visit New Jersey, and the places that I thought were cool are shitholes. Who said that? Somebody said Florida's worst mall. Oh, that's my wife. My wife. But I went back to New Jersey, and it was a shithole. It was a shithole. I mean, New Jersey was a shithole, but I mean just the malls were a nightmare. So I think, but we kind of knew that was coming, right? We knew the internet was going to kill retail. Y'all heard of Mall World? No, I've not heard of Mall World. I know New Jersey had Mall of America, I believe it was. And it sounds like a fucking nightmare. It sounds like a nightmare. Incredibly expensive just to get in. They have a ski slope inside the mall. But like, I think it's in Newark. It's like, why the fuck would I want to go there? That sounds bad. Oh, Dream Mall. Thank you, sweetheart. Yeah, Dream Mall. That's my wife. I'm not just calling the chat sweetheart. Yeah. I wouldn't want to be there. There's like noises that happen here, and I don't know what it is. I think it must be like the people next door or some shit. But I swear to God, every time I do this show at night, you'll hear me like pause at least like once or twice. Like, what the fuck was that? The fuck was that noise? You ever been skiing or snowboarding? Okay, yeah. I've been snowboarding. I actually was just talking with my cousin about this, who was younger than me, but we went to Mountain Creek. If you're from New Jersey, you might know about Mountain Creek. And it used to be Action Park. I think the Jackass guys did a documentary about it. And I went snowboarding for the first time with him. He was a few years younger than me. I was maybe 15. And so he was maybe like 12 or something. And there's no, how do I put this? You have to get on the lift and go up to your respective mountain that you're going to go down. I don't know why this fucking thing's so blurry. And there's nothing stopping you from getting on any of the mountains. And we accidentally got on the, like, it was like a, I don't know what it's called, like the double black diamond. or some shit. And I know Jim Bowman says enough jibber jabber, take them calls. Dude, the lines are open. Nobody's calling, which is fine because I always get a little nervous when it rings anyway. And so, oh, there it goes. Damn it. I fucking see what you did, Jim Bowman, you son of a bitch. Hold on. We'll finish the skiing story later. All right. Here we go. Thank you for calling the Raven. This is the Raven. What's your name? Where are you from?
Brendan, I'm from Canada.
Hi, Brendan from Canada. What's up, dog?
Not much, man. I'm wondering, like, what your craziest ghost story is. I have one. Me and my stepmom were going to watch Dave Chappelle's latest stand-up. And I was in the basement on MSN talking to people on, like, Messenger. And I left to go upstairs to eat. She made popcorn and apples. And we both heard, like, the chain of the light in the basement turn off. The, like, chink, chink of the light. And we both looked at each other at the same time and we're like, did you hear that? And I was like, yeah, I heard that. And we looked downstairs and the light was off. So we both looked at each other and, like, kind of grabbed each other and, like, walked downstairs kind of scared. And sure enough, the light was off. She ran upstairs. I ran upstairs. We shut the door. And I think that's, like, the realest ghost encounter I've had. But yeah, I'm curious what yours is.
Dude, that's wild. I mean, you have to really pull those things. That doesn't just happen. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta give it a little tug, like some actual force.
Yeah, you got a little tug it a little bit. And the sound, that chink chink, like that, like clank clank of it, like clicking through the mechanism. We heard it. We both heard it. Like, yeah.
And then you went down and the lights were off.
She sent me back down there, man. I didn't want to go down there. I was like 14. I'm like, fuck this. She's like, no, you got to turn off the computer. So I went downstairs, turned off the computer. Like, man, I was just down there trying to, like, God knows, talking to girls on MSN probably, you know?
Hell yeah, dude. I remember MSN. I was an AOL Instant Messenger guy.
Yeah, AOL back then, yeah.
Yeah, I used to talk to my wife on the on that all those years ago. Yeah, that's fucking scary. I wouldn't know. How do you make an excuse for that one? Well,
so she said it was her father, and that she had like a sad, like she wasn't there when her father passed, and like there was like some kind of connection that drew him in the afterlife to her. And this is what she told me. And she was like OCD, man. Like she was like, you know, obsessive compulsive. She would vacuum the same section of the floor before we left. Every like thing on the mantle was in the perfect position. If you fucked with it, she would like have a panic attack.
So what? She thinks that was her dad like fucking with that
reaching
aspect
out.
Of her?
Yeah. So she would organize like the magazines and like stack them up on top of the speakers or whatever, and she'd be like vacuuming or cleaning, and they would like shoot across the floor.
That's interesting. I mean, you know, a lot of people think it's their, and I'm not saying it's never your loved ones, but I do think that a lot of things.
No, I don't think it was. That's what's scary,
man.
Right? That's what's scary, because no, they come to you as somebody you know, or like, you know, whatever, a little girl in a dress. Like they come to you in that way that you're gonna be like, oh, this isn't like something horrible and scary demon.
That's why.
But yeah, that always freaks me out.
They investigate like a house and they're like, I feel the spirit of a little boy, and meanwhile it's this giant greasy demon that's chuckling. Yeah,
right.
Those days are definitely gone, and I can see that now. Of like, oh yeah, these are clever. We fall for it every time. Why would you stop doing that, right? So you know, I've got the one story that people have heard a bunch of, you know, with the whole demonic encounter that I saw, my wife saw, my son saw. But that's
right.
A long story.
Yeah, you were paralyzed in bed.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I've never had that.
That freaks me out.
This one, so I had moved into this my first house. I closed on my first house, and you know, I moved in my niece and I moved in my cousin, which, in hindsight was just not a great idea. Not because of them, but more so because I purchased a 4-bedroom home to try to help people, which was like, why the fuck would I? But anyway, and almost immediately we started having really weird things happen. It started with knocking on.
Not just that the place is never going to be good enough and there's always going to be some little problem that needs to be fixed, but you started hearing knocking.
Well, there's definitely that. I mean, it's gotten to the point where, like, I still own that house and I'm like renting it out. I'm not making any money. And I'm like, I don't think I ever want a fucking house again because of the things that need to be fixed. But
there's a leak.
It's a real nightmare. I mean, homeowners know the deal. It's not. So there's knocking on the windows. There's knocking on the doors. There's even knocking on the metal garage door, to the point where we all start to notice it. And, so while this is happening, just randomly throughout the day, we'd be sitting there enjoying each other's company, and then something would knock, and our heads would pop up, and we'd look at each other, and we'd go, what the fuck, man? And
this isn't like neighborhood hooligans.
Well, what's interesting is we later found out that there's an app called I think it's like Nextdoor or something like that, or Next Door Neighbor or whatever. And a lot of people were complaining about the same thing. And they were saying that it was teenagers, but the more you looked at it, nobody ever caught them. Nobody caught them on Ring camera. Yeah. Nobody saw them with their own eyes. There was just people saying like it's teenagers. But then anytime
it's either
anybody
teenagers
would request,
that are really good or some kind of ghost or something.
Well, so we would have these nights, my wife and I, where like we would wake up and the fucking room would feel like electrical. And, a lot of nightmares in that house, a lot of super ominous. I can't tell you the amount of times I woke up and started having to pray because I'm like, something is fucking here. Giant black mass in the corner, you name it. And we would wake up in the morning and my wife would say, dude, the room just felt fucked up last night. And I would say, yeah, man, yeah. And then we would get things like my niece, she had a floor-to-ceiling window in her bedroom, and she would say that at night she would wake up and she would look to that window and she would see the silhouette of a man that took up the entire window. A floor-to-ceiling window, and there's a man that takes up the entire window standing there. And then she would turn the light on, and she would look, and there'd be nothing there. And then what got even stranger, and I didn't even draw a correlation to this, which in hindsight, it was pretty obvious, we became infested with black flies. I mean, so many black flies. And I didn't think about it at all. I just thought
no source, just like,
Well, it wasn't that there was no
cupboards
source.
And everything. You're like,
so it was specifically in my garage. And I kept my garage really clean. I had a workbench out there.
Yeah, that's the thing. You try to clean. You're like, there's got to be something dead or something, right? Yeah.
Dude, I gutted the garage so many times, took everything out. I took the leaf blower to the whole garage, blew everything out, swept everything out, every spider web, every cobweb, everything, and put everything back in. I used to have my heavy bag out there, so I would go out for workouts, and I'd go out there to tinker on my workbench, and, we had the washer and the dryer out there too. So this was like something that got a lot of activity. It wasn't like a leave it alone kind of place. And we would get these fucking huge black flies. And I went out there at one point and I just started catching them out of the air and like throwing them on the ground and killing them. And I almost became manic about it, kind of like a crazy person. I'd go out there and I would catch, over the course of hours, dozens of them, and I'd be whipping them against the ground, whipping them against the wall like a total psychopath. And then I would clean the whole thing out, and then they'd come back again. And
that's like demonic. That's like something, right?
I remember when it started, actually, now that I think about it. I had a puppy for a little bit that my niece got while trick-or-treating, of all things. She came back, somebody gave her a fucking puppy. And I tried it for a little bit, but it didn't work out. But I ended up rehoming it. But I took the puppy out one night. I'm taking it for a walk, and one of my neighbors starts screaming at his wife. And it's dusk, and the streets are echoing with these screams.
Full moon?
I don't remember if it was a full moon, but I remember that the puppy got so freaked out that it stopped moving. It hunkered down and it stayed there. And I'm like, come on, let's go. And one thing leads to another, and they actually come out of their house and get in the car. And I think I can actually hear their conversation. They're going to retrace their steps because, according to him, his idiot wife left something somewhere. They've got to now leave. And they leave with all the lights on and shit, right? And their garage door's wide open. And I'm like, fuck, that was crazy. And so I'm kind of, you know, embarrassed for them because everybody heard it, and everybody meaning the whole fucking neighborhood. Like, it wasn't like anybody was around, but they left. So it doesn't matter. That's over now. And it is strange that their house is wide open and all their lights are on. But never mind, because here comes an adorable little family. It's a husband and a wife and a little girl, and they're pushing a stroller and they're walking my way. And I'm the new neighbor with a puppy. So I'm looking forward to having this like wholesome experience where I go, howdy, folks, you know, how you doing? Like that kind of shit. And nice night, isn't it? And so
people call me Raven.
No,
my dog Killer.
No, we don't tell people that. And so as they're approaching me, I notice in my peripheral that someone comes out of the garage of this house. And I don't know the neighbors, so I don't think it's too strange that like somebody else is still home. You know, I don't know. Maybe there's
maybe they're like a strange brother who lives in the basement.
Anything. Well, they did end up having a really strange brother. But so I see him, and he's just a black silhouette, and it is dusk, but I don't count it as strange. I just noticed like I can't see anything. It's just a black silhouette of a man, and as I'm turning to these folks, I see him start approaching me, beelining for me very fast. And now I'm mortified because
autistically?
Yeah, like as if you like stiffened your arms at your sides and just like speed
there's
walk.
a motherfucker with the head tilt.
Well, I don't remember if his head was, I just remember, I thought it was, so what, the only thing that I could think of was like, oh my God, this motherfucker's coming to apologize to me for the things that I've heard with the arguing and everything. And so I'm mortified that I have to have that engagement. So I'm like starting to turn my body, and I say to the folks like, hey, how you doing? And they go, wow, look at the puppy. I go, nice puppy, right? And I still see this guy coming towards me, and I'm so mortified at the idea that I'm going to have to do this, like have this conversation, like, and I'm prepared to be like, no, dude, I didn't hear shit. Like, oh no, don't worry about it. We all fucking, yada yada. And I literally like turn my whole body away from him. But judging off the speed that he's coming, I know exactly where he should be and when he should be there. And I know at this moment he's standing so close to me, directly next to me, right over my shoulder. So the folks leave, and I'm waiting for him to say, hey, sorry about the fighting, anything, dude. And he's not saying it. So now I'm like, great. Now I got to be the guy that turns and says like, oh, hey, didn't see you there.
Hey,
which is just
what's
weird.
up?
Now
how's it going?
I turn around.
Neck breather.
He's not fucking, nobody's there.
No.
And I go, okay. Like I'm free of this situation. No big deal. Scoop up the puppy, head back to the house.
Somewhat relieved.
Yes, and I tell my wife and my niece who are in the living room, I go, dude, I just heard these people argue and it was so crazy, blah, 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 blah. They go, what happened next? I say, this is what happened next. And they go, well, how did it end?
Creeped up on me and disappeared.
Well, I told them that. I said, this guy creeped up on me, but then when I turned around, he wasn't there, thank God. And they were like, that's creepy. And I was like, yeah, I guess that is creepy. And that's when it all started. That's when the knocking started. That's when the shadows started. That's when the flies started. And it all fucking ended, dude. Well, yeah, I guess it ended because I started praying over my house after that. I'm in the living room with my cousin. We hear a knock at the door, which is now normal. Like, we hear this shit happening. We both hear it, and we're so close to the door that we reach out, grab the handle, open the door, and fucking run outside into the night. And I run left, he runs right. It's practically the scene from fucking Signs, where Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix are running in opposite directions around the house trying to find the intruder. And I run, I see nobody. He runs, he sees nobody. But I do see a skittering black mass on my lawn. But I have a porch light on. So it's in the light, but it's still a black...
Like a shadow.
It's like a little cloud.
Yeah.
And it skitters across my lawn. And I almost don't even pay it any mind because I'm like, that's not what's knocking. I don't know what the fuck that is. And then my cousin goes, look, and he points, and down the street, there's just a silhouette of a man standing. I'm getting fucking chills right now. Standing under the street lamp. But he's standing under the street lamp, and he's still a shadow. Like,
top hat, no top hat.
no top hat, just a dude.
Just like a shadowy.
Just a dude. And then he just walks off. And I don't know. Honestly, I don't even remember what the fuck happens after that. I just know that that was a turning point, and I started to pray over the house, and you know, and it never really stopped in that house. It just kind of got less. And I prayed to like take authority over the house, that it was, you know, that I was the new legal owner of this home, and that whatever this was had no rights there, in the name of Jesus Christ, to get the fuck out of my home. But it was like a real saga. Not as bad as some of the other things I experienced, but still up there. Still up there. It was bizarre, man. And then, like I said, we would find out later on that all the houses in the neighborhood were having the same thing happen, but they thought it was teenagers. But nobody had any evidence that it was a teenager. Nobody caught a single one of them on their Ring camera. None of that. So, yeah, I would say that was a big one for me.
I mean, it would seem like it would be teenagers, but the fact that you get no footage, no concrete evidence, like, how good are these teenagers at making the E9 door?
Apparently, they're also good at, you know, appearing as a dude that's the size of a floor-to-ceiling window. You know, the black flies, I guess that would be a coincidence, and also the skittering black mass. Like, it was all fucking really weird, man. I don't know what was up with that town or that little, like, neck of my neighborhood. But it didn't seem like we were alone in it. And so, yeah, man, that was a weird time.
Yeah, I can't top that, so I don't know. I'll let someone else call in, though.
All right, brother. Well, thank you for calling.
Yeah,
thanks for the
man.
story, man.
Yeah. One love.
Later. Boop. That's funny. I forgot about that story. You know, little things kind of happen like that throughout your life. And I think if it wasn't for this show kind of bringing those memories up occasionally, like most people, they would like slip from my awareness and I wouldn't remember them. So I think it's kind of maybe a good thing. You know, Matt would say, oh, you focus on this too much, but like, I don't know. I don't think I focus on it too much. I think this is all the stuff that brought me to God. But I do think he's right. It's like after you're there, then you have to start focusing on God. But I think that stories like that, they resonate with someone in the audience. And who knows? Maybe it helps bring them to God. That's what I would hope. I don't think that my Beelzebub is Lord of the Flies. Yeah. But I don't think that my experience is all that unique. And so I think that there are other people who have the same thing. And, you know, it brings them in the right direction as well. Roke says, I think it's helpful for people to understand that this shit is real. Yeah. Over Thanksgiving, my cousin was there with her boyfriend, and he was very skeptical. Very skeptical. And he sat across from somebody whose profession it is, in me, to explore these things. And I could tell that was hard for him. This wasn't something that he ever talked about. And not only am I talking about it, but I'm explaining to my cousin that these are all things that are present within her family and potentially related to like our bloodline, which I think is like a generational iniquity thing more than likely. But hey, we got another call. Let's answer it. Do. Do. Thank you for calling the Raven. This is the Raven. What's your name and where are you from?
What's up, the Raven? This is Qui-Gon Gin and Tonic from Georgia.
What up, dog? What's going on, Qui-Gon?
Oh, nothing much, man. What's good? I'm just on a run right now. My nipples are so raw. I
You're
just wanted
running?
to thank you for. Yeah, it's like 40 degrees.
What? How much you running that your nipples are raw, dog?
They're like 40. I mean, not just 4 miles.
Oh, 4 miles.
It takes me
okay.
about 40 minutes. I don't know why I said that.
I was like, damn, dude, 40 miles? You do an ultra marathon and you're calling me?
Fuck no.
That's crazy. What's
I mean,
what's
I don't have much time. Oh, no, you're good. I don't have much time. I just wanted to call in for once to say that I really appreciate what you do. I stopped smoking weed because of you specifically.
Really?
And, glory be to God. Yeah, dude, from your cruise, you said you went a week. I was like, fuck it, I could do that.
And that's what you
1
did?
week
You
turns
went a
into
week
2.
and then you kicked it?
Yeah, man.
Dude, that's fucking awesome, man. I was telling my wife just today that I took a second while I was driving and I was like, dude, I'm so happy to have it out of my life now.
Dude, you have no idea. I thought I would never go to bed without smoking weed or just being a little stoned or anything like that. And, I finally did. It feels great.
How long were you smoking?
Since I got out of the Navy in 2017, and before then I was a bit of a pothead too, so, for as long as I can remember. When I was in the Navy, I drank a lot. I also did a lot of spice, so that was crazy.
You did?
Yeah.
You're a spice boy. Qui-Gon is a spice boy. Unbelievable, dude. Certified
Yeah, hey,
dangerous retard.
Yeah, man. I just wanted to say I really appreciate you guys. I don't have a lot of time. I'm about to run inside and make my wife feel special, so I already taken enough time away from her running and being a jackass doing my own stuff. So I just wanted to call in and thank you guys so much for everything that you do. I'm really excited to have Matt on. It's one of my personal things to get him to be my friend now, because he likes all my other buddies like LO and Atma and everybody else. So I just need a shower from Matt and then I feel complete.
Oh, dude, that'll be easy. Just call the shop sometime. You'll lock him into a half an hour conversation. Are you kidding me?
Oh, dude, no, that'd be sweet.
I'm telling you,
No, but
Qui-Gon, give him a call, man. He'll answer. But thank you, dude. I appreciate that. That's fucking awesome.
I'm excited to hear my retarded faggot ass on a replay now after this. So thanks, man.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I really do.
Thank you, brother. You have a good night.
You too.
Take care, brother.
Man, that's cool. That's really cool. There's a guy in here. Shout out to Dylan. Dylan comes in the shop sometimes, and he's been trying to stop smoking weed, and he said that my whole thing with it inspired him to want to stop. And I'm just like, fuck, man. Like, I do think that weed is a lot more of a problem than people give it. Than people want to believe. I mean, I smoked since I was like 16 years old. And for the longest time, I was like, oh yeah, it's non-addicting. It's habitual. That's the line, right? It's habitual, but it's not addicting. And it's like, I would say there's probably something akin to withdrawals, it's not like massively destructive, but it is uncomfortable. And then I think also the weed that you're getting from these dispensaries and shit has probably got chemicals in it that are addicting. But I didn't realize it for the longest time. And then I fought with it for the better part of 4 or 5 years. On and off. And now I'm locked in, dude. I'm locked in. I haven't smoked since the cruise. When was that? When was the cruise? Damn, dude. Did I go on the cruise in May? I might have gone on the cruise in May. I think I did, yeah, because our anniversary is in May. So I went on the cruise in May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Damn, dude, it's been 6 months. It's been 6 months. I quit like a couple of times before that, and I went good for a while, and then fucking, yeah, blah, 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 killed a nightmare dog, and then I quit. Oh, dude. Fucking Bron James knows I fucking killed that nightmare dog. Fucking stabbed it with the shit, looked at the knife, and felt bad for the nightmare dog. I think the nightmare dog was weed. Yes, my wife says May. Yeah, dude, 6 months. 6 months, and I stopped today and I thought about that, and it's wild that Qui-Gon said that, because I was like, dude, it's nice to be free of that shit. It really is. It really is. The alcohol withdrawals are insane. That sucks. I'm sorry. I don't know when you went through that, Madeline, but I'm real blessed to have never gotten addicted to anything. I did like the way that cocaine smelled for a little bit, but it was strictly just the smell of it. But I never did it enough to like become addicted. But I did do it enough to say that I don't even really like this stuff. But I did like it. It was cool. But that's not a problem. I haven't done cocaine in a really long time. But man, weed was like, that was, food addiction. Yeah. Food addiction was a real one. I've been doing pretty good. Over the holiday week that I spent with my family's love language is eat, drink, eat, drink, eat, drink, eat, drink. And that became real rough. So as soon as I came back, I fasted for 24 hours the first day, and then I'm doing like, 20-hour fast, 22-hour fast daily. Well, no, not daily, because yesterday I went to take my wife to a doctor's appointment and we messed up. We showed up on the wrong day. So we used it as a nice opportunity to go out to breakfast with each other. So I ate early that day. But like today, I didn't eat till noon. The other day, I didn't eat till 5 or something like that, which was like a 24-hour fast. I'm just trying to clear out the system. Yeah. My wife says great espresso martinis. They were great espresso martinis. I think this is the last call we're going to take because we're at the 2-hour mark. Let's answer it. Thank you for calling the Raven. This is the Raven. What's your name? Where are you from?
Hi, my name's Abby. So I'm in Oklahoma.
Hello, Abby from Oklahoma. How are you?
I'm okay. So it's funny. I was just I've been in and out of the show, watching, and I just noticed the last guy that called mentioned about he just stopped smoking weed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm 5 days off right now, and and it's great. I've been smoking for so many years every day, and I think I just realized that it was holding me back spiritually, and maybe that's how you felt about it too when you quit, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I told you guys it stopped me from dreaming, which I think was really
right.
bad.
Well, absolutely. Well, back a few years ago, like, I basically used weed to make me stop dreaming because I couldn't handle my dreams. Like, what is it? Like, I can barely handle like the realm that we're in here. I couldn't handle the other, the dream world or whatever.
What was going on in your dreams? Were they like negative or?
Oh yeah, always. A lot of chase dreams. I know Matt mentioned he had a lot of chase dreams too.
Yeah, I've dealt with them a lot. I had one recently where I had a couple of them actually, where it was like I did something wrong or I hurt somebody and I had to escape the law. That's a big one that happens.
Yeah, and well, and then I would have dreams of like being in weird houses, like running from like people and going in and out of rooms or whatever. And I'm like, I can't handle this shit. Like, I gotta be productive person, you know. I can't.
Oh, they were
like, it
actually
would
keeping
fuck
you
with-
from sleeping?
No, it would just mess with my daily life. Like I would have like weird deja vu feelings all day long and stuff. So I'm like, okay, I gotta smoke more weed, you know.
I gotta smoke some more weed about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? It's ridiculous. But so now I'm waiting for them to come back, but they haven't really come back yet. So
It's been
we're gonna
5
see what
days.
happens.
So
5 days.
I think for me, it was it took like 2 weeks. I want to say it took like 2 weeks to for them to come back, and then when they came
Okay.
back, it was like a flood. But I know
Gotcha.
that the nights are harder
Mhm.
than the days, right? Because in the days you're busy, and then it's like when you
Mhm.
come home, especially if you're in the ritual of that, right? Like the habit,
Right.
but it becomes more than a habit. It's like you come home from work and you smoke, and that's
Mhm.
what you do with the latter half of
Right.
your day, and then fucking whatever, you eat some shit and then you go to sleep. And without that, it really feels so hard. I remember that. And what I will say is the good news is that doesn't last either. That goes away. Like I don't have that anymore. And I noticed the same thing will
Mhm.
happen with like alcohol, right? It's like end of the day rolls around, and if I'm in a period of my life where I happen to be drinking more than usual, then 5, 6
Gotcha.
o'clock rolls around, and it's like I want to drink, but that
Mhm.
shit does not last. I think 5 days is
Right.
is a big part of the hump, and I think that you're over the hump. Remember, I don't know if you heard about the whole what the hell was that thing called? The cruise, but the cruise was 5 days. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
It was
Okay.
I think the day before the cruise, I threw out my weed. I think I like flushed it down the toilet or something. And then I went 5 days because
Gotcha.
I knew I'd be on the cruise. I wouldn't be able to bring it with me. And after that 5
Okay.
days, when I came back, I was good. I had a different thing going on because I drank, a little bit on the cruise, and then I had to have a couple beers when I came back, and yada yada. But I would say, Abby, that you're over the hump, dude. You're over the hump, and I think
Right.
if you
Well-
hold off, it's done.
Mhm. Oh no, and at this point, like, I didn't like the thought of it was a little more difficult than actually doing it. Like, right now, so as I started going to the gym last year, and I would just go stoned out of my mind, and I was like, well, we're gonna see how this goes, and it was great, you know, and so, but for me, like, I'm super new to like loving Jesus and stuff. And
Nice.
I feel like, I really, I kind of had like a spiritual kind of breakthrough last night. And I feel like I had like a really big like understanding, and I feel so much better. Like I have more energy, like I'm making more money at my job, and it's just, I'm like, this is great. So I think, I don't know if I'll go back to it or not, but you know, we'll see. But like, I was going to say that like, y'all's podcast is definitely like, it's like my favorite pretty much. And like, I think, Matt is a great, like, he really, he made me start reading my Bible a lot more. And I'm like, he's like, read your Bible once an hour and every day. And I'm like, yes, I will. So, and, but like, honestly, I've been listening to podcasts like for, I don't know, a couple of years now, but Sam Tripoli's my favorite. And then he led me to like all of these other podcasts, like you guys, Tony Merkel, Joel Thomas, you know, all the guys. And then it just turned out like, you know, I really like paranormal shit and conspiracy. I've been into conspiracies for like, I don't know, like 23 years or something. And David Icke was my first guy, you know.
Yeah, David Icke's an OG. Yeah, he was one of my first guys.
Yeah,
Him and Alex
for
Jones.
sure. But I didn't never realize he was a channeler until I listened to you guys, and I'm like, oh, it makes so much sense. But basically, like, I knew God was real and stuff before I started listening to Sam. But then I started listening to everybody else, and you know, I love paranormal and conspiracy stuff. But like, it's, you know, and then everybody would start talking about Jesus. And I'm like, this is cool. It's all right. You know, whatever. I wasn't sure if Jesus was a real thing or not. And then it just turned out that like all of the podcasts that I was listening to was everybody loved Jesus. And I'm like, okay, this is okay. And then I think shortly before Charlie Kirk was murdered, like everybody just went really hard in the paint on Jesus. And I'm like, oh gosh, okay. So then I had a weird experience, and then I started praying, and something just told me this shit is real. I mean, Jesus is real. And then I just was like, okay, it's undeniable. And then I've just been now I just like crave all of it, like all day long. Like when I'm working,
experience?
it was it was a casual sex experience. Basically, I started hearing voices shortly after, and it was saying like, you know, you're a whore and nobody's ever gonna love you. And wow. I was like, what the fuck? And it freaked me the fuck out. So now I'm just like, okay, you know, so now I'm trying to be a better person.
You know what that was though, right? I mean, you've heard us talk about that sort of thing. It's or I don't know, maybe you haven't, but it's I mean, go ahead.
Oh no, I've listened to a lot of your shows, but I don't recall what you're talking about. Go ahead.
We talk about schizophrenia and how it's actually just demonic influence. And
yeah. Yeah. I love Martin C.
We all have that. It's this thing that leans in. It tells you you're worthless. It tells you it highlights these moments when you sin, when you transgress, when you miss the mark, when you come up short. And it's this thing that wants you to feel worthless, and it also wants you to identify with it. It wants you to believe that. And if you do believe that, then you're in for some real shit. But that's not what Jesus teaches, right? Jesus, we're all worthy of redemption. He died for all of us, and so yeah, man, it's wild that that you were having those experiences, but that's like super common.
Yeah. I love Marthinsky, and I heard him somewhere else before y'all started having him on, and one of my favorite shows they all did was with him and the Demon Erasers guy.
Oh, that was a great episode.
My favorite shit. Y'all should do that again for sure.
Honestly, you're right. We should do that a bit. That would be fun.
Yeah. But no, it just makes so much sense, you know, and then like basically just like, you know, so much weird shit in the world is just like, okay, everything's basically demons. And I'm just that old lady now screaming like, demons, everybody's, you know, everything's demons now. So
that's where I've got, it's like I went through all of this dense nuance and information, and while it still holds water, you basically could just say like, it is all demons, and you would be correct. And I said that was too simplistic. I mean,
what else could it be?
What's the thing? It's like horseshoe, like a horseshoe theory. Like I came all the way back around, and now I'm back at like, oh yeah, it's all demons. It's all demons.
Yeah, and I just like, and then the whole like, the whole alien and demons thing, or like aliens are demons, basically. Like I heard Vicky Joy Anderson on the confessionals a couple years ago, and I was blown away. And I was like, oh my God, it's just crazy. And then I started talking to people about it, and they're like, what? And I'm like, no, for real though, bro. Like, you know, and now everybody is talking about it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's kind of like, it's hard to understand, because like, what are UFOs then? You know, because people, I mean, undeniably are seeing that shit, right?
So I mean, it's a multitude of things. It's ranges from physical craft, that is our own government, and
for sure. That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, I mean, as for the technology, we talked about how within the Vedic belief system, they had Vimanas, they had things that were capable of flying an individual, and they had things that were capable of flying something that was like the size of a city. And so,
Right.
and this is what their gods appeared in, and this is what their gods flew around in. And then you look at like the bell-shaped craft that the Nazis supposedly created, and you go, that looks exactly like a Vimana. So the technology's been there for a long time, and it was taught by fallen angels. So the technology is not really a hard thing to understand. And then I do think that there are certain things that appear as like orbs, plasma, things of that nature. And then
for sure,
so yeah, people are definitely seeing things. That's for certain. I mean, my uncle was one of them. My uncle and my grandmother saw one. It's people are definitely seeing a real thing. But as far as like aliens being demons, it's like we talked about that a little bit earlier, where they are demonic. They're not of the kingdom of heaven.
Absolutely, for sure. Nobody's experiences are good. It's never a good time.
Even if they are good, like some people do say some things, because typically what happens to the good ones is the aliens will tell you that you're special and that you're chosen and that you have a mission, but they still took you against your will. They paralyzed you. They filled you with fear, all this crazy crap. And then they told you that you were special, and then they gave you some sort of secret mission. I
think that's to gain your trust, right?
Oh, it's exactly it. Yeah, we're very easily hijacked if you tell us that we're special.
Oh.
That's how that goes.
So one last question is, have y'all talked about the Genesis thing that Trump just did? I can't remember what it's called now. I just heard about it today.
Oh,
Genesis,
this was something to do with
the AI thing.
Yeah, what the hell was that? We talked about it a little bit, but we didn't. I don't know if we got into it.
Man. So who is it? It's called. I just watched that show. It's not Straight Talk, but it's dang it. So Merkel just had that guy on talking about the alien demon thing, but it's a husband-wife show, and he just had Marzulli on it talking about it.
Really? What? Tony did?
I can't. Okay, Tony had him on I don't know when he actually had him on, but the show was last week or the week before. Gosh, I can't remember his name. But anyways, Marzulli was like, "Yep, Jesus needs to come," is what he said.
Hold on, let me see if I okay. So
yeah, I'm looking too.
Manhattan Project AI, the Genesis mission executive order, the largest federal AI power grab in history. Yeah, okay. So it was basically like a huge dump of federal funds into artificial intelligence. According to the executive order, the program is modeled on the scale and urgency of the Manhattan Project, creates full national government-wide effort to merge the entire federal scientific database system into unified AI. Good God, that's crazy. That's so crazy. To merge the entire federal scientific database system into unified AI, use labs, universities, defense sites, and private industry as one integrated research network. Wow. Yeah, I mean, so they're trying to, it's funny because we just played at the top of the show, this guy, what's his name? Joe Rogan, saying that Jesus Christ could return as AI.
He's so ridiculous, man.
Yeah, dude.
I just can't.
So
the
if
guy's
they were going to do that, go ahead.
Oh, so it's Pastor Larry Ragland. I can't remember what his show is called, but it's interesting. It's good. It's kind of they're pretty. They're funny, but it's a husband and wife.
And this is a guy that Tony just had on, because I probably would have listened to it.
Mark Confessionals. It's 8:12. Fallen Angels in the Final Flood.
Final 8:12. What am I looking at here? This is 8:13.
I mean,
oh yeah, I listened to that. So. As in the days of Noah. I listened to that one. I don't remember it though. But Tony's the only show that I listen to right now. So yeah, I guarantee I listened to that thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. So my job is I work with weed. I trim. I've been working with weed for like 20 years, and You know, I'm so over it that like it doesn't even bother me anymore. So
Nice,
yeah, I mean, like I said, the only time I've really kind of thought I wanted to do it was when I was going to go to the gym. But but anyway, but I've been, you know, so I'm like, you know, on a 12-hour shift and just in my headphones all day. So I'm just listening and watching shows all day long. So
yeah, I know what
I'm
that's
just like, you know. But so, anyways, thanks for talking to me. I love this, and I love you guys very much. I wish I could come to Florida to the Bohemian Grove and stuff, but Oklahoma, here I am. And I've been trying to get to Florida just to go to the beach for like 2 fucking years, and I've been a single mom like, you know, almost half my life, and then just like. Yeah, I don't get to go on vacations.
Not easy to take vacations, when you got responsibilities.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
if you can get to the beach, man, Oklahoma sounds. I mean, I'm sure it's got its uppers, but it sounds a little.
You know, there's not a lot of nature here, but I mean, I find it in, you know, some spots. It's very flat. There's not a lot of trees, and like I used to live in Northern California and on the coast, and like in the redwoods and shit. And
I hear it's beautiful.
I mean, it's so beautiful, but California is like, I mean, it wasn't, you know, politically it wasn't that great before COVID, and then COVID just really ruined.
Oh,
like,
so you
the whole
escaped?
West
You got
Coast.
out of there?
You know, I did. Like I moved to Washington State for a while.
I hear that one's just as bad.
Oh man, it wasn't that bad before COVID, and then I'm telling you, and then during COVID, it's crazy. It was crazy, and now it's even worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, we kind of came down here, and because it's cheaper to live, and also you know, if we had to join a militia, you know, it'd be easier to do that here.
Yeah, it's also a
You know,
a place, if it's more rural, you're going to deal with a lot less. I mean, you want to get out of the coastal regions, you want to get out of the city, you know, areas, and for sure. But I mean, who knows? Maybe one day you make it down to Florida, and if not, then maybe one day.
I'm
Bohemian
gonna
Grove
make
comes
it.
closer.
I'm gonna do it, man. I want to. I was talking to my boss about it today. I'm like, you know, if I'm gonna be making more money, I'm gonna fucking do something cool. So we'll see.
You got to take a vacation. I didn't take vacations for a long time, and I just got used to not taking vacations. And then one day my wife was just like so fed up with it, and then we started going places, and we're like, oh yeah, you just have to do this. Like you have to integrate this in your life. If you don't do it,
I might just. I was saying that to myself today. I was like, you know what? It's, you know, I just have to fucking do it. And
Yeah,
just,
dude.
Like be like, okay, buy my plane ticket, like, you know, next week, and then, you know, I mean, do I have to wait till y'all find another venue to get?
Well,
my ticket,
I don't know what the heck we're doing, because the capacity in this place is like 73 people. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to make Bohemian Grove that small, because the last time it was like over 200. Small. But then again, like, what do I want to do? It's hard to figure out what we want to do right now. And who knows, maybe we do. Maybe we keep it small. And I don't know, but
well, y'all will find something. I mean, y'all found something. Y'all found another venue in like 3 days last time. So
it was actually
I have
24 hours last time. So yeah, we'll figure it out.
Shit.
We'll figure it out.
Oh yeah, no doubt. You have months, so it'll be good.
We'll be all right.
Anyways, thanks for talking to me so long. I love you guys.
Well, thank you for calling, Abby. I appreciate it. And good luck. You're almost over the hump. 5 days was what it was for me. It'll be the same for you.
Nice. Yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you.
All right,
okay,
Abby.
Bye.
Have a good one. Later. All right, guys. We're shutting this shit down. Do Not Disturb is on. And that's it. We done. Christian show. What did I say? I don't remember what I said. Raven, you gaying on us. Yeah, I guess so, probably. Bro Grove at Bertaria would be the best shit. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. But I just don't know what we want to do. You know, Owen Benjamin is a comedian that I would love to have again. Sam Tripoli is a comedian that I would love to have again. I don't know enough about Sam Hyde. Like, I like Sam Hyde. I understand he believes in Christ. That's a good sign. I just don't know. It's like, what are we trying to do? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Because last year was crazy as fuck. Last year was really crazy, guys. And I don't know if I want to do the same thing again. And I really just want to get together with the dangerous retards. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. Kate says, hold one in Alaska. Kate, move from Alaska. What are you doing in Alaska? Not good. Not good. Very isolated. But you get gayer, Raven. It's a spiral. There's really nothing I could do. I'm at peace with it. Atma says it was fucking wild. Yeah. Don't add any E's to my middle name. All right. Thank you guys for watching. I think we laid down some good information that first half, which was cool. Bro Grove West Coast would be amazing. Yeah, I would like to do that. Just logistically, it seems like a nightmare because like trying to do it in Florida down the road is a nightmare. You know what I mean? So come up to Jacksonville and help run some blacks and fentanyl addicts out of town. That's a thought. Maybe do that. I know we walked a black dude last year. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that or saw that while you were there, but there was a black dude that literally got up and left, and I was like, and then we just dropped a bunch of more N-bombs. So crazy. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Tomorrow, I think we're going to do, I don't know what we're going to do. We were supposed to do a review of the, what's that called? Age of Disclosure, but I don't think Top's watched it yet, and I've only watched a little bit of it. Sounds like you did the right thing. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what we did. We did something fucking crazy last year. If you were there, you were there. I don't know that we'll ever make that happen again. All right, anywho, let's get the fuck out of here. I will see you guys Monday. Why not the guys from Hidden in Plain Sight? I really like them, and they're going to be coming on the show soon, and I think they would be a great addition to Bohemian Grove. I just don't know what we're doing. But those guys are fucking hilarious. I want to have them on soon. I think they have some shit on Luis Elizondo, and we're going to talk about that. All right. Love you guys. Peace out.